Welcome back to another episode of Harmonious at Lunch, the show that fuels your business success. I'm Brandon Gano, your host and guide through the world of harmonious business growth. Today, we're unlocking powerful strategies with industry experts to help your business thrive. If you're a business owner, entrepreneur, or executive, you are in the right place. Join me and our incredible guests today on the journey to clarity, growth, and success. It is time to revolutionize your approach to business. Let's dive in with another episode of Harmonious at Lunch. Welcome back into some more bite-sized business advice. And today we're talking about the topic that every small business needs to hear. And it's about leadership, authentic leadership. We're going to find out what that means. But I have a very special guest. She's from all the way across the world and down under in Australia. The very, very amazing, I've already gotten to know her, Dr. Elizabeth Pritchard. Dr. Elizabeth, welcome to the show. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much, Brandon. It's fantastic. And hello, listeners. It's fantastic to be here in your bite-sized lunch podcast.
My bite-sized lunch, that's right. It's lunch for neither of us, actually. It's my bedtime. It's your morning time. But we're just gonna get right to it. But I'm curious. The topic, authentic leadership. That word, the first word, everyone kind of knows what leadership word is. The word authentic, though, is one of those buzzwords these days. So instead of just throwing it around, I want to hear your definition of what authentic leadership is.
Well, authentic is about who you be. So it's not what you do or what you think you do or what you're trying to do to please other people. It's who you be on the inside. It's that honest truth that aligns with your values, and what you do, what you say, what you think, what you do is in alignment. So authentic leadership is when you come and you know from yourself and you are exuding that going forward. And there's 4 components very quickly. There's 4 components, which is self-awareness, huge self-awareness. So knowing what your responses are and why you're doing them. So it's looking at those repeat patterns that keep cropping up for you as a leader as well, and being able to shift through those and change those, that's particularly the ones that don't serve. It's self-regulation. So that's like dialing up and dialing down. You're not a different person in different situations or different people or different contexts. You dial up and dial down your inner strengths. And it's psychological capital. Leadership is 80% psychology, 20% mechanics. And we always look at the strategies and the mechanics and the techniques. And we forget about the psychology. So it's that psychological capital, which is hope, efficacy, resilience, and optimism, those deep-seated core things of psychology. And then it's the agency, it's the take action. We don't get anywhere without taking action. So that is a little bit of an explanation about authentic and leadership together.
Yeah, I love the 4 components there. And you could see how obviously those stack up to make a world-class leader, or when absent, just a everyday schmuck, if you will. Not insulting anybody, but I'm curious. So when people bring you in, or when people go through your trainings, is there some commonalities you find as a baseline of where people start who are looking to take their leadership to the next level?
There are some commonalities, yes. Often people get stuck in the strategy. I need a strategy. I need to find out how to do this. What is the how? What is the how? And so we take them through. Yes, we give strategies as well, because we need to know, what is a strategy to have a courageous conversation with someone who may be potentially performing under par, or having a conversation with someone that you want to build a connection with, or a collaboration with, or merge a business, or whatever, those sorts of things. So there are some specific techniques that we do go through, absolutely. However, the most important thing is who we be. And so to have what you're wanting to have in your business, to have that recognition in your business, to have those number of clients coming through your door, that level of revenue that you're wanting to achieve per year, it comes down to who you be. Who are you being on a daily basis? How are you setting yourself up in the mornings? What is your intention for going through the day? How do you regulate your moods? I've worked with somebody who he's an incredibly skilled person at what he does. Absolutely amazing. One of the best in Australia, and also internationally recognized. And he's amazing. Absolutely. And sometimes today he's really grumpy, and tomorrow he's really happy, and and the next day he's really approachable, and the next afternoon he's not quite approachable. And it's just really hard to work with someone like that and to have a leadership that is like that. And so within that, the people that we work with, it's like they come and they go, give me the strategy, and we take them back to what is the state that you're choosing for yourself? What is the story you're telling yourself? What are those beliefs? What are those patterns that you've got into that are often unconscious? And that's what it takes for a coach and a trainer to go, so we ask really good questions, and people usually go, so I'm actually doing that because I'm wanting this. I hadn't realized that before. And then we work on shifting that, tweaking that, and changing that, and their leadership takes off in a whole different way.
I love how that always plays out, because people, they want the next best thing, they want the shiny object, whatever it is that's going to fix them and get them their goals, right? And then
Mm.
you turn it back and go, okay, well, what's going on the inside? And they're like, no, no, no,
Yeah.
no, no, hang on, I don't want to go there. I didn't sign up for that kind of work. So what is it that you're doing when you're laying that foundation, so to speak? I mean, what do you want to establish in that person? Are you first? It sounds like you're questioning where they are, the stories and beliefs they find themselves in. Are we creating new ones at that point, or is that a later phase?
Every time we have an interaction with someone, we look at getting a result with that person. So that aha moment, that breakthrough moment, that, so it's this. I was working with someone yesterday on one of our one-on-one coaching calls, and and she was finding it really tricky to say no. And so therefore she was getting overloaded and overwhelmed with everything. And everybody was coming to her as the deputy director of her organization. And they were coming to her, and she was just basically saying yes. Or she was going, oh, that's too hard. And so she was putting it off, and then spending a lot of time ruminating about it, worrying about it, getting concerned about it, thinking I need to do something about it, but I haven't done anything yet. And so we've been working on her ability to say no and put boundaries in place without any guilt. And lots of us has this thing of like, if I say no, what are they going to think of me? If I say no, will they get angry, or will I lose their business? Or what if I put this boundary in place? Oh my gosh, they might not, come and do business with me or keep working with me, or think I'm a great leader or a great boss. And so we've been working through that with her. And within that, we had a conversation yesterday, and there was just one little line that she went, and I says, what was that? And she went, I just realized that it was because I didn't want them to think any bad of me, or any worse of me. I didn't want them to think bad of me. And it was like, oh, but I've been practicing that I don't care what other people think of me, because I if I'm being authentic and I'm following my true calling, if I'm aligned with my thoughts, my actions, my feelings, and my actions that I give out and my responses to other people, then I'm being true, I'm being authentic. And if people don't like it, that's none of my concern and none of my business. And so she realized that, and that big sort of just totally freed her up, and she's doing it differently. It's so cool to see. It's so freaking cool.
That's incredible. I'm curious, because you said something there that I've seen a number of times, where someone, they say one thing, they say they don't care what people think, and they act like they care, like what they don't care what people think. But then all of the things they say reflect that they probably do. And that's a very specific
Mm,
example, but this happens with a lot of different beliefs and actions. It's this incongruence, right? So how do
mm.
you, as the person who needs to take ownership and really, who are you being, right? In your words, how do you know when you're actually in alignment and congruence with that belief and the statement? Because in that example, it sounds like she did believe she was there, but you were able to uncover that she wasn't.
Yeah, yeah. It's an interesting thing, because that's the whole genius of having a coach. And yes, I'm a coach. I'm biased, but I always have a coach, because I know of the value, and that's the only reason why I do coaching with people, is because, like, we ourselves are inside a pill bottle. That's who we are. And the pill bottle's white. It's opaque. You can't see through it. And there's a label on the outside, and only the people on the outside can read that. And like you said, Brandon, people can see when there's incongruence, but we often can't ourselves. And a coach can gently, who's always on our side, absolutely ask the right questions. And so we recognize that. And it's part of growth and expansion. It's part of me being open to want to be vulnerable and open and grow and expand. It doesn't mean there's anything wrong with me. It doesn't mean I need to fix anything, because I'm perfect, absolutely perfect the way I am right here, right now. And I get to choose if I want to expand that knowledge, if I want to expand that growth and understanding and self-awareness. And for me to recognize those things myself, I learn the questions. I learn those questions like, so what's stopping me from doing that? And I learned to ask myself those types of questions. What's preventing me? What's getting in the way of that? It was like, why am I feeling a little bit apprehensive in here? Or why did I snap at that person over there? What's behind that? And then I go, what's behind that? What's behind that? What's behind that? Because I've learned to reflect on things in myself and be open and curious. So it's not about blame, shame, judgment, or guilt. It's not about wanting to find fault. It's not about wanting to find the bad stuff and make it better. Nothing to do with that. Because if I come to myself with authenticity and acceptance and openness, then I'm curious. I'm curious to find out more. I'm curious to find out, what could it be? I'm curious to find out, what are those thoughts and beliefs that keep tripping me up? And then I can begin to work on them and shift them and change them.
I love it. I'm curious about the flip side too. So in an organization where there's a leader who maybe hasn't done this work, or they're not exactly in alignment with who they say they are, what does an organization like that look like from the team's perspective, the employee's perspective? I mean, what are some commonalities of things that would show up in that company?
Some of the commonalities are that people feel disempowered. They feel they don't have a voice. We've been working with an organization where there's pockets. You'll find pockets of people who are really authentic and really, really driven and open and wanting the best for their teams. And often in an organization, you'll have a lot of these pockets around. And so the great thing is that you can work with these pockets of people, and the ripple effect is enormous. The ripple effect is beautiful. And yes, for a really high functioning, high performing, effective company, it must come from the top down. But there's things that you can do along the way as well. But if you have a company that's not very authentic, that says one thing and does another, you will find quite a lot of absenteeism. You'll find a lot of presenteeism. So people are there, but they're not really engaged in their jobs. Their loyalty is not there. There's low levels of trust in an organization. And when you're wanting people to go above and beyond the call of duty, people sort of toe the line and go, nah, they work to rule. So you'll find this in organizations that don't have this congruence or this leadership sort of style, where they're open and transparent, and they're really there looking at the innate strengths of people rather than looking at the weaknesses and limitations and shifting through on those.
So out of the four components of your model that you mentioned, where's the sticking point usually? Is it this one we're talking about with how you show up, and or is it some other one of the other phases?
Yeah, it's more. Yes, it's usually starts with the self-awareness and self-regulation place. So often we're so good at doing things. We're so freaking good at creating and doing things and keeping busy that we often don't notice. We don't pause enough to notice things, and so we start most of our trainings, most of our sessions end up starting with the let's just notice what those thoughts are that come into your head. Are you the person who goes, oh, I can't do this, it's too big, it's too hard, I'm so busy, I'm time poor, and I never have enough time? And are you a person who uses that sort of language? Or are you a person who goes, oh my gosh, I'm productive today. I've got these things on here today and I'm giving value over here. And then I get to have this pause here for 10 minutes and then I get to create this and I get to do this. Do we have to do things? Do we should things? Do we sort of put that type of language through our heads? Or are we actually creating that more growth mindset, infinite sort of opportunity type language? So often people aren't noticing these things to start with. Are they noticing how they feel when they go into a courageous conversation? Or have they used the word difficult situation because this is a difficult person or a difficult client and this is going to be tough and it's going to be hard and I'm not sure how it's going to go? Or do they set themselves up and go, okay, this is an interesting client, we used to change the words, or a scintillating client, and I get the opportunity to have this courageous conversation with them, and this is the outcome that I want, this is the connection that I want to have with them. Let's go in here and let's make this work. And the energy that I bring, the emotions that I bring to each different scenario is totally different. And I will get a totally different outcome. So we usually start with noticing, self-awareness, self-regulation. Can I dial up and dial down? Can I dial up my energy when I need to? Can I dial down and match somebody when they're feeling a bit low and not feel threatened by it? Can I recognize when this person needs a boost? Can I recognize when this person needs less because they're so skilled at what they do? And so that's the dial up, dial down. I'm not a different person. I'm just dialing up my strengths and dialing them down because I'm so aware of what I need to do.
Yeah, that makes complete sense. And I'm also wondering about the so I have one of these what did you call it? Interesting client?
Yeah, interesting or scintillating.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good one. I have a scintillating client right now. And it's one of those situations where we don't do leadership consulting necessarily. We do business with fractional COO services. So obviously we're working with the leader, and there are things that need to happen in order for them to take action in their company. You mentioned the fourth component of your model is taking agency. What do you do when someone just refuses to take agency and responsibility for how they show up, how they act, the stories they believe? Because I have a feeling it ties to what we were just talking about who are you being. If you don't take responsibility for who you're being, in my head, logically, you can't change it because it's always somebody else's problem, right? So how do you
Yeah.
navigate those interesting clients and conversations?
Yeah. Well, there's this wonderful model, the above and below the line. And so below the line is sort of victim thinking. So that's the blame, judgment. It was their fault. I couldn't get my thing done on time because they didn't give me the information. Well, how many times did you follow them up? Oh, I didn't. But they were supposed to get it to me, but they didn't. You know, those sorts of things. It's those people who go, it's their fault, it's his fault, it's her fault. She never did this, they never did that. And so that's the below the line victim thinking. And then there's the above the line, and we call it authentic leadership, which is honest, open, not openness, ownership. That's the O word. Ownership, accountability, and responsibility. So when you're taking ownership, you admit your mistakes and you say, I messed up. This is how I think we can fix it. Or who do we need to get in to help us fix this? That's even a great, fantastic question as well, because you have that team culture that allows for that. I take ownership. I'm getting this done. I need help with this. Is there anyone else who can help me with this? Accountability. Here you go. You said you wanted it here on time. You've got it an hour early. Here you go. Absolutely, I've delivered. And so ownership, accountability, responsibility, or that blame, justification, victim thinking. And so I would have that conversation with that person specifically, because it's about attitude. You employ for attitude, you train for skills. And if you want an A team, you employ A team players. You don't employ the best in their field necessarily if they don't match your culture, your values, and their attitude sucks. Because they might be able to do it. It's like can do, will do, team fit. They might be able to do the skills. They might, so can do. Can they do the skills? Yes. Will they do the skills in the right environment? Are they a good team fit? Nah. Then you don't employ them. They're out. Or you encourage them to either have the opportunity to improve to a certain level, or it's not their job. It's not their role. They'll be unhappy. You're unhappy. It's not fair on that person to keep them in a place where they're really not passionate about what they're doing and they're not a good team fit. So help them find a better team fit. And so within those moments, yes, there's a strategy to go through, and there's a model that you can actually share with people and say, this is the bottom line. This is where people in this team function. It's either here or it's not a good team fit. Let's find somewhere for you that is a better team fit.
I love it. Unfortunately, in this scenario, it's the business owner themselves. So I'm going to make you have that conversation so I don't have to do it. And I think it'll be great. It's a win-win, right?
Yeah.
Dr. Elizabeth, I love it. This is an awesome conversation that, again, I believe more people need to hear, because if our leadership elevates, so does our whole culture, our team, our business. It's a trickle-down effect. I can't thank you enough for being here. But if the listener wants more, if they want to learn more about you and your work, where should they go?
They can come directly to me. So it's Elizabeth with a Z at Walt Institute, WALT Institute.com. We have website, LinkedIn, Facebook, Insta, all of those types of things, and they'll be in the notes, I would believe, from Brandon. And we'd love to have contact with you if you want to find out more about our programs, our online courses, our one-on-one coaching, or have an organization that you want us to come and do some training with long term. Then we are absolutely available for that around the world. That's what we do.
Fantastic. Yes, all of that, wherever you're watching or listening, is down below in the description. So you can go over to the website. I believe Elizabeth said there was a couple of ebooks you can check out too. So
yes,
all of that is down there for you. Dr. Elizabeth, I'd love to end these episodes with one final question. It's a question from you to the audience, though. So we believe that powerful questions get powerful answers. You said yourself that you have a list of amazing questions you bring your clients through to help them figure out what's going on in their own personal lives. But in the context of this episode of authentic leadership, what is a question you want the listener to walk away and ask themselves until they get that powerful answer for their leadership in their business?
Ooh, just one? Okay.
You can say as many as you want.
I think the first one is, what would it take for me to go next level?
I love
that question. And I ask that for myself all the time. And it's not do. It's what would it take for me to go next level? So, and then the next question is, who do I be to go next level?
Ooh, I like it. Dr. Elizabeth Pritchard, you are next level because you take ice baths in the morning and I don't. So kudos to you. And thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much, Brandon.
For those of you watching and listening, again, all the resources down below in the show notes. Go check them out. Make sure you subscribe. We love bringing this content to you every single day of the week so you can grow your business, get outside of whatever box you find yourself in, and build a more harmonious business and life. We'll see you on tomorrow's episode. Thanks for being here.